Hello, everyone. Hey, everyone, and welcome to Bxb'S Bits and Bobs. No, it's not. God, do you know what? I am tired, Joel. It's not Bxb'S Bits and Bobs. It's Bxb'S bonus Babble episode 15, our third day of E3 coverage, and you can tell it's starting to get to us. And both me and Joel are operating on not a lot of sleep. I went to bed at 4 this morning after Bethesda. But Joel got up super early, didn't you, mate? So
I was up at 6 a.m. I have to get up with the children, get them all ready and stuff. So before the wife goes to work. So yeah.
Yes, and to be honest, I'm looking down the barrel of Sony at 2 a.m. right now, and it's a bit upsetting that I'm gonna do that to myself. But I am dedicated. I am going to talk about Sony. I bought myself a PlayStation Pro today, and I have my VR coming tomorrow. And I've bought a bunch of games ready to go as well. So I'm very much looking forward to that, Joe, I have to say.
Yeah, cool.
It should be fun. I'll probably fall asleep using it, right? And then wake up really confused.
Covered in sick.
Covered in sick. In a virtual in Doom VFR. So that would be disturbing, I suspect, wouldn't it? Like, oh my God. But that segues us in nicely. We're covering 3 conferences now. Bethesda, Square Enix, which I call a conference generously, and then Ubisoft. That leaves us with Sony PC gaming, which is happening momentarily, but we won't be watching live, obviously. But Sony's tonight, tomorrow, and Nintendo, which will be wrapping up tomorrow afternoon at a slightly more like palatable time in the evening. But not quite as late as this, because I think that's on at 5 o'clock. So we should be getting something up early afternoon. But let's just dive straight into Bethesda. Obviously, you didn't watch it live. I watched it live. However, I was 2:30 in the morning that started, so my brain is slightly addled. I'm going to be relying on some of your notes. I'm going to be relying on links from Eurogamer and stuff like that to remind me what happened. Obviously, I don't think we need to go through this in chronological order as much. Because it's so much after the fact, but I tell you what, mate, the one thing, right? That had me jumping up and down like a lunatic at about 3 o'clock in the morning. And I
messaged you about it because I knew I knew you'd be excited. I bet you screamed like a little girl, possibly. Is what I imagined.
I screamed like a doomslayer, ready to murder and rip and tear once again when they announced Doom Eternal. Which they're going to blow out a lot more info on at QuakeCon in August, which I can't wait to see. However, we basically been told it's a sequel. We're going to get Hell on Earth, which is what the teaser showed pretty heavily, and they alluded to in their bit of dialogue. And yeah, twice as many demons, and they're going to somehow make you feel even more OP. So I am so excited. Oh, I suspect that's end of next year, and I just can't wait. That's happy days. What did you think of that? Did you you said you watched it, didn't you? All after
yeah. I've watched it. So yeah, it's a teaser trailer if there ever was one, but I really enjoyed Doom 2016. So I'm quite looking forward. To seeing what they come up with this time.
My game of the year 2016. Yeah. So yeah.
I'm also interested to see what you think of Doom VFR as well, because
I can't wait to play it. I'm really looking forward to playing it. That's the first thing I'm probably going to pop in tomorrow. But yeah, so the Doom thing, it was a really, like you said, a very teaser trailer. When it started rolling, I was like, it looks a bit like it could be Doom. The music's a little bit, that can't be. Is it Doom? Is it really? Oh my God, it's Doom. It's fucking Doom. Oh my God. And that was my reaction. And then I love that bit when the skull, right? And I turned to the wife and go, cue foot stomp, crush skull. And then it did. I was like, yep, I've seen a lot of trailers. I know how it works. But no, I was hyped. So I wanted to get that out of the way first. That was my top moment from Bethesda. I really enjoyed as a feeling in general for Bethesda. I like their conferences. They feel like they're a lot more relaxed, less corporate, that they're not talking down to the audience, that they understand the audience. I thought the Andrew WK opening was really cool. However, man, did that room full of journalists who wanted to see games not give a shit, which was just, I was like, this is fun. This is really cool. Get into the swing of things. But then what can you expect? That they were going to stand up and start moshing? No, they're not, are they? But like, a little bit of enthusiasm might have worked there, guys. I mean, I understand. They're all jaded journalists. What can you do? But that's how the show sort of opened up, wasn't it? Or am I forgetting?
That was the start of the Rage 2 presentation, wasn't it? They were like, here we go, Rage 2, and then a band played. Pretty. I don't even know who they were. It was just
Andrew WK.
Yeah,
it was Andrew WK.
I don't know who they are.
You don't know who Andrew WK is?
Sounds like a drink.
Fucking hell, man. How old are you? Jesus. I mean, like, no. I mean, he's the guy who does the music. He did the music. I think he did music for the first Rage game, which is why they got him to come back and to do stuff for the sequel. So my takeaway from the footage, obviously we got the trailers again and lots of that canned stuff we've seen already. But from the actual gameplay, I just thought to myself, oh, this looks a lot like Doom. This looks like this plays exactly like Doom, but with some more powers and vehicle combat. And I'm down for that. That will be great. If it plays like Doom, that'll be a lot of fun. Yeah, it just seems like an anarchic, colorful, over-the-top, silly shooting gallery, doesn't it?
Yeah, it didn't look too bad, did it? It looked quite impressive. I was curious, you play as Walker, the Last Ranger. And the first thing I thought of was that old TV program, Walker, Texas Ranger. So I was wondering, does Chuck Norris have anything to say about this?
I am fairly certain that's a very intentional joke. Yes.
Cool.
I mean, that's the humor that we're dealing with here, I think. You know, Andrew WK blasting out, you know, that sort of stupid lyrics and that kind of stuff, and violence and gore and just righteous destruction. You know, it's a world where everybody is probably an enemy and you can feel completely justified in murdering them because they're all horrible things. So there's no ambiguity. So it's, it's clear cut. I mean, what it actually reminds is a lot like Mad Max, which makes a lot of sense why Avalanche is working on it. And by the way, if you guys haven't played Mad Max, the open world game they brought out, it's really good. Good vehicle combat again, good action, a fun, different type of open world that's obviously a lot like Rage, though not first person. I do recommend it. It's nothing like the movies, but it's obviously inspired by that universe, and it's definitely worth checking out. You can get it very cheap now. It came out.
I think I got it. It was on PS Plus, like last month, I think, or the month before that. So I have
play it.
Yeah,
I think there's no DLC or anything for it. You'll have the whole thing there, and it's worth checking out, man. Yeah, if you're looking for like a tonal prequel to Rage 2.
What other cool thing in the trailer? Did you?
Oh yeah.
I wasn't sure at first if it was being serious or not, but the bit where it zoomed in on the TV screen showing you the Insanity Edition with that wall-mounted head,
like Billy Bass, but head, which I thought was disturbing and amazing all at once, and it's now up for pre-order.
Yeah. When I first saw it, I was like, "Are they being serious? Have they really just thrown in the announcement of their Insanity Edition?" And then, sure enough, looking it up afterwards, like, yes, they did.
Genius.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was kind of the nature of this whole show from them, actually. They're very, very knowing, very clever. They did a few fun little skits, but we'll get there soon. Next, we got Wolfenstein announcements. I'm skipping. I think Doom was next, but we've done Doom. And there was Wolfenstein. Am I right?
Well, it depends. We can skip around. Let's not go in order. So there were two Wolfenstein. Which one do you want to start with?
Well, it was quite funny because we got Cyber Pilot, which is this VR thing we don't really know much about, hacking enemy mechs and turning them on the Nazis. And then we got Youngblood. Obviously, the previous DLC for the first Wolfenstein game was Old Blood. So this is Youngblood, and this is set in the 1980s, and you're playing as the twin daughters of BJ in their continuing fight against the Nazis. Little bit of a bummer, because BJ has sacrificed and done so much to liberate the world of the Nazi menace, and yet has not succeeded by the 1980s. So I don't know what happened in the 70s, but he clearly didn't get any further. And it's a bit of a bummer that, his daughters are now having to deal with this shit as well. So never a happy ending for BJ. However, loving the doubling down on female protagonists we're seeing this year in E3. It's coming in everything, actually. Everything is, let's tell different stories from different perspectives. It's so cool that we got twin daughters of BJ. And if you've played Wolfenstein 2, as I know you have, Joel, one of my favorite characters is Anya, BJ's wife and mother of the children, and she is so incredibly motherfucking badass that I would happily play a game with just her. So I can only imagine her two twin daughters are going to be even 10 times more awesome than her. So I'm totally up for that. I'm up for more Wolfenstein. You know, it's got some problems. It had some problems, I think, with mission design, that sequel. But as a world and as a shooting experience, super fun. What did you think?
Yeah, let's see. I obviously did the review of the new Colossus, and I did enjoy it, but I didn't think. Yeah, I just felt like a kind of average shooter. I thought the narrative and the presentation of the narrative really elevated it. That was a strong point to me. So, you know, let's see it. The real interesting bit's going to be obviously the announcement that it's co-op. So that will be quite interesting to see what they do there and how that will work.
Yes, I mean, that obviously means you're going to have very different mission types and very different mission design and all kinds of things that will need to be taken into account. And I, you know, they listen to feedbacks, and the thing that came up a lot was the combat encounter design being a bit rote and repetitive at times. So I think, you know, that stuff will be considered. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Then we then got, I think it was we then got, or I might be able to hear Prey, kind of like tooting their horn a bit about how well it's done. Surprisingly well, actually. I don't think anybody expected it to be as much of a hit as it was. And the fact that they're coming back to it after quite a lot of time now, if you think about it, with DLC that's out right now, which is this kind of roguelike, run-based, repetitive, sort of random generation, sort of simulation-y sort of thing on the moon. And then there's going to be a new thing next year called Typhon Hunt, which is going to have a VR capabilities as well, which is going to be you can become mimics, and it's going to be sort of like, you know, there's one human player who's trying to find the other players who are all like hiding as coffee mugs and stuff to try and kill him and stuff. And I think that, you know, what's that reminds me of is like the AVP modes and stuff, and the old shooters and stuff, and the zombie modes where you'd have to sort of sneak and think. I think Assassin's Creed did a sort of type of mode like that as well, where you had to try and blend in with the AI on the level, and then the assassin had to try and find certain targets and stuff like that. It's a cool asymmetrical multiplayer concept. So I know you're a big fan of Prey, so you must be hyped for this.
Yeah, I thought Prey was incredible, brilliant game. I absolutely loved it from start to finish, and the gameplay was fantastic. So, you know, I would have just been happy probably with just more of the same, but I'm actually really quite excited that they've tried to do something really different. Actually, it's a kind of standalone story, like you say. It's set on the moon. It's this roguelike style game. How far do you want to go into it? It seems like you can go as far as you want, but it will just get harder and harder. But you've got the option to sort of draw the line and leave at any point. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, you're gonna buy it soon?
I'll be buying it. I'll hopefully try and get a chance to play it this weekend. I'm hoping.
That's cool.
So yeah, pretty stoked for that. Also, they announced as well new game plus mode, and a survival mode added as well.
Well, what they didn't announce is, but it's happened, is it's now enhanced on the Xbox One.
Cool.
It's got. I think I don't know the depth of the enhancement, but the Xbox One X has now got improvements, shall we say? So it'll be 4K HDR stuff like that. So that's come as part of this patch as well. So that's pretty. And is that where you played it? I can't remember if you played it on your Xbox.
Yes, I did. I played it on the Xbox. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to getting that. How you said, it's Typhon Hunter mode for VR support and stuff. Although obviously there is no VR headset for the Xbox. So
no.
I don't think there's going to be. It sounds like an interesting concept, but I'm not going to potentially go out and buy a second copy of the game for it unless it's something that I see reviews of that says you've got to try it, man, it's awesome. Sounds like a cool idea. Oh, it's only got VR support, sorry, hasn't it? It's not a full VR only mode.
Yes.
Yeah. So perhaps I will try that at some point.
Okay. Cool. We then had some Fallout-y type stuff, didn't we? Which I guess
before we got to the Fallout thing.
Yeah, Todd Howard came out, right? For like I guess probably like a third of the whole conference was just Todd Howard. He is very, very, very confident and good at holding that stage. Super relaxed. One of the better presenters I think we've seen, especially as he's a developer. Crazy, he's been at Bethesda for 25 years, which is almost as long as Bethesda has existed. Which means, wow, job security, what a win. But like he's doing great things there, and he's come out and first of all played this amazing joke, didn't he? Which
Skyrim Very Special Edition, yeah,
which is now out on Alexa and your smart fridge and anything else you can imagine, which I thought was very tongue-in-cheek. It was one of the guys from Key and Peele, I believe. So I've seen that actor turn up in a few things. Yeah, clearly, yeah, it was just very funny. Good jokes, landed well. You know, didn't feel super awkward. Was actually just a fun little moment in the show, which I get engaged with quite a lot. And then he sort of went straight into Fallout. First of all, Fallout Shelter is now on PS4 and Switch. Switch feels like a good home for that game, especially as a freebie, but I'm not going to spend too much more time on that. And then we got the big blowout we've been expecting on Fallout 76. This sounds to me like the most ambitious, crazy shit. Like, what are they doing, Joel? Is it going to work? It almost feels like he was saying, we don't even know if this is going to work. Like, we're going to throw the shit at the wall and hope it works. Like, because the more it went on, the nuttier it sounded. So it's going to be a share world survival game set in the Fallout universe, which is kind of what we'd already been rumored. It's going to have dozens of players, not hundreds, not thousands, dozens in each instance. And you're going to be encouraged to work together. And, you know, but you can play it by yourself. But then it's like, oh, but there's going to be a story and there's going to be quests and it's going to be traditional Fallout in that regard. But also there will be nuclear missile silos on the map that you'll have to work together to take over so you can nuke other areas on the map where maybe a band, like a group of people have gone together you don't like. And then that's like a whole its own game mechanic where it's going to like then reveal certain like rare deposits and different enemies in the Fallout area from that nuke landing, you know, and it's going to be extra hard and all this. I'm like, holy shit, man. This is like, you guys really went to town on Fallout concepts here, didn't you? Like everything you could think of, you've gone and suggested for this game, and it's out like in no time. When was the date on this? Can you remember?
November 14th.
It's crazy, man. So what did you think of all that? Have I missed any of the other sort of points from it? I can't remember all of them.
No. I think you've captured the most of them. The only other interesting points they made is that sort of death isn't finite. So you load your character into different servers and your state's all preserved and stuff.
Yes.
So I'm curious what that means to stuff you've built, though. Does that follow you around as well?
I wouldn't have thought so.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought so either. So a couple of weird questions over there. But it's basically, it sounded to me like it's your kind of typical Fallout game. They've added a more cooperative experience. So they said you can play it solo, but it's obviously you can play it co-op as well. So that would kind of give me that. This will have a bit of a Borderlands style co-op where you can just drop in and do quests with each other and you can progress the story. But then it actually sounds like it's just got a different end game to it. Where
there's survival elements. It's not so it's not just co-op. The players in your instance will be against you as well. So you know, co-op makes you think it's just you against the world. This is like he described it as like they are. Is it going to be a hardcore survival? He said it was asking. He said, no, it's more like medium,
softcore.
Soft. Oh yeah, softcore.
Softcore.
So it's like you will keep your progress. I don't know about gear. I don't know about what you've got on your body. He didn't touch on that. Like if you die, do you lose your loot? But you know, you don't lose your progress, and you know it's not permadeath. So I mean, that's what he's trying to say is the barrier to entry, therefore, is lower. Like it should feel less terrifying for players that are used to single player experiences. Yeah, it's kind of a bit of a theme. This online connected shared thing now is a big deal in games, in all kinds of games. You just worry a little bit, don't you, that you're losing your authored single player experiences, but I think we're getting them as well, so I'm not too worried. Let's have a selection of genres. But what are you excited to play it? Is it the kind of thing that interests you?
Genuinely curious. I haven't played Fallout 4 yet. We spoke about it on Bits and Bobs at the weekend. I was hoping for the announcement of the PSVR release of that actually, so I could jump in and get on that, but no, I might hold off and scratch my Fallout itch at 76. I think the other thing I wonder, because obviously there's cooperative elements, and then, like you say, it's not necessarily you're always working together. That sounds like there's some competitive aspects to it as well. Maybe do you think there'll be some faction-based stuff in there? Because there are factions sort of in there's like the Brotherhood of Steel and stuff in the Fallout games, aren't there?
But I mean, when you say factions, I think the factions will be the ones you're creating yourself. I mean, that's the whole point, isn't it? It's about making friends and going in with friends and allies, and then working against others. I mean, so for all intents and purposes, you are creating those factions. I don't think they'll be playing with established factions. I mean, maybe, but like you said, there's going to be real story in there and real quests and a real reason to be doing stuff. The only problem is when you make it a game like this, those sorts of quests are usually quite rote. So it's kind of like go here, kill X, collect Y, return. go here, kill X, collect Y, return. And then that's kind of quest design in those types of games. However, I'm hoping there'll be a bit more authored and actually narrative, but we will see. It's a curious experiment, and they're very much aware that it's a curious experiment, which I think is a curious place to come from on this. So after that, he's still out there, Todd. It's like, oh, here, you know, you think maybe they're done. No, not even close. So next we've got a new Elder Scrolls game, but don't get too excited. It's Elder Scrolls Blade, and it's predominantly a mobile game, but they're going to put it on everything. And it's going to be free to play, which probably means microtransactions. It will mean microtransactions. There's no two ways about it.
Guaranteed. So I picked up on this. So first of all, he says, launches this fall. It's free to play. Pre-order it now.
Yeah,
so
I thought that was weird.
What? It's free. So I pre-ordered it. What? I just register my intent to download this game?
Yes.
Like, so what does that mean?
It means you get stuff for it, and it means they can judge demand, and they can say it's got this much demand ahead of release. It's marketing, isn't it? So when it comes out, it goes downloaded by 2 million people day one. It's just they like players like ownership, don't they? They like to feel they're invested. So it's part of that as well, I guess. It's a psychological.
I did love the bit where he was like, yeah, it even works in portrait mode, so you can sit at your meetings at work and play it. Brilliant.
I like that. I like the fact that they've thought of that. Yeah, I like that. So many games are not playable in portrait mode, so I kind of dug that. It looked good though, didn't it? I mean, it looked like pretty good quality for a mobile game.
Yeah,
I'll play it because it's free. So I'll give it a go. It's going to have VR as well, so it's going to show up on VR platforms and things like that. Why not? Why not give it? I mean, it looked, to be honest, when he was demoing it with the sword swinging, it looked like a VR game. Is what it reminded me of, more than a mobile game. What about you?
I don't know. I didn't really pick up on that, but I did pick up on when he said he was talking about VR that I think he also hinted that, you know, you can get those cardboard bits that you put your phone in, or like is it Google. I think he hinted that it will be supported on that as well, so you'll be able to do a sort of very basic VR experience just using your phone. I
think this is kind of the Bethesda theme was as well. It was like, if you have this game on multiple platforms, it's going to, your progression will be saved via Bethesda Net across everything, which I think is a nice direction to take things as well. And we need more of that, don't we? In this console world and gaming world now, where, you know, there are games on so many devices and they don't talk to each other. It's frustrating. So we thought, maybe with maybe that's it. That's it. Yeah, there'll be no more after that. He's shown a mobile game, but no, the long rumored, often discussed Starfield has finally been confirmed as something that exists. And the reason it's long been rumored and talked about by journalists and enthusiasts like us is because they've been working on it for so fucking long that it's like the worst kept secret in gaming. Like that word Starfield has been out there for years. So we got a trailer that reminded me a lot of Interstellar. And I say trailer, and I mean that quite loosely. It was about 20 seconds, and it showed nothing except the title card and a wormhole effect.
That was 25 years worth of effort that went into that.
Yeah, that was the culmination of everything they are and ever will be. But the terminology that's interesting here, it was referred to as their next generation RPG. Now, is that just clumsy wording? That means, you know, it's to us, it's our next generation, our next step in our RPG development, and will still appear on this generation? Or does it actually mean it's likely to appear on whatever comes next in 3 years' time or so? The new Xbox, the new PlayStation. I mean, that you could take that either way, couldn't you?
You could, but I wouldn't read too much into it. They were so fuzzy about what it is. It could literally turn out to be a racing game.
It's an RPG. They've said it's an RPG.
It might be a role-playing racing game or something. Who knows? That was just so little information. They might as well not have bothered. I think it's just, oh look, we are trying. We can, because everything they've announced so far is like Elder Scrolls, like
now it's this year
sequels, like, you know, just extra things. So this is like, we can do something new. Here's 20 seconds of something that the marketing team threw up. So
we were talking about this last night. There's so much of the focus on these conferences now are the games that are this year or Q4 at the latest, so like early next year, and you know. But they made a point, didn't they? Todd said, I made a point, and now we don't normally do this. He said, like, we're going to look into the future now and show you and confirm that these things we do have stuff coming down the line, and I appreciate that. You shouldn't expect more than literally a logo treatment like we got with the Metroid one last year at Nintendo and stuff like that. I mean, that's fine, but it means, look, there is stuff coming. Start to get a bit excited, and I like that. I like that they did that.
So they went counting it up. They showed 4 Elder Scrolls games. 4. They showed 2 Fallout games. Starfield was the one new thing. They showed 2 Wolfenstein games, Prey, 1 Quake game, and Rage and Doom. So, but 4 Elder Scroll games shown.
Well, I guess you're referring to the next Elder Scrolls game that was shown.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah.
You've skipped ahead a little bit, but the big reveal, which he said as coming after Starfield, is the Elder Scrolls 6. And I'm sure from that little environmental teaser that we got, there are already Elder Scrolls subreddits that know much more about Elder Scrolls than I do, working out where in the Elder Scrolls universe that is. Because obviously that's a very big deal for the Elder Scrolls. Like, they're always set in distinctly different environments and parts of Tamriel. So I would be very curious to find that out. I have not done that digging yet because I don't care that much. But I am interested in the Elder Scrolls. I can tell you this for a fact. My wife was very excited. She loves the Elder Scrolls games, and she was very, very hyped to see a new Elder Scrolls is at least being fucking worked on. Though I said to her, if it's post Starfield, which is next generation, you could be looking at like 5 or 6 years before you get to play Elder Scrolls 6. You know, it could be a really, really long time. So that was Bethesda. Have I missed anything, Joel?
Yeah, you've missed a couple of things. So your wife wasn't stoked for the Elder Scroll Legends digital card game.
No.
Being relaunched on consoles later.
Nobody cares about the fucking card games. So why do they keep trying? It's just like, it's got this many players. Oh, and it's the next card game you're going to get hooked on, the dude said, or something like that. It was like, don't be such an arrogant prick. Nobody wants to play this fucking card game, mate. I don't care how good you think it is.
Everyone saw the success of Hearthstone and is now copying it, aren't they? So
it's ridiculous. Anything else?
Yeah, Elder Scrolls Online, Somerset. They're going to Cider County. Sorry,
I just skipped it entirely. They come out every year with their like status of ESO. They crow about how popular it is, and they talk about the upcoming packs and all of this. And yeah, there are people that really like it. I wish I did. I really wish I did, but it pushes me away every time I try because I feel like it's so aggressively microtransaction in there. In the way things like, extra bank space and inventory space. Oh, you have to buy that. Things like that is just really fucking egregious to me, and I just don't enjoy it. And I don't like the world filled of all these other people running around. It just doesn't feel like an Elder Scrolls game to me. It doesn't work in that. I actually did, though, quite enjoy that Morrowind expansion. I think it improved a lot, and I like the quirkier setting and the stories and the quests that came from it. And it's a much better game than it was at launch. Don't get me wrong; it's much more stable and consistent, and there is better quests in there now, much better stories in there, and writing. But it's still just not my Elder Scrolls.
Not for me much. Not for me either. The only thing I did enjoy, I played a lot of it online. Mark had it, so I played it at his for a while. And the Castle Siege kind of big event thing was quite cool, but that was about the only bit of the game I enjoyed.
The PvP kind of like
yeah. Kind of, you were either defending or sieging the castle, weren't you? That was about the only cool thing I enjoyed in that game. The rest of it was just, like you say, it was just boring quests and. It felt claustrophobic for an Elder Scrolls game. It wasn't open at all. It was just sort of fenced-off regions that you had to sort of travel between.
The subsequent quests and content that have been introduced to it over the years are much, much, much more engaging than the sort of core quest line that was there at launch, the main story, as it were. They're far, far better content. He struggled to find an identity, and I think they've done a good job post really supporting it and developing it. And like I said, it's better than it was, but I don't know. I'd have to find a lot of time to really try and get into that. So
no, there was one last game. Quake Champions.
Oh yeah, okay.
That was I just put a sort of Overwatch / Team Fortress vibe from that presentation.
It's Quake. I mean, it's Quake. I played Quake a lot when I was a young'un. Quake 3 Arena. predominantly. Big fan of that. You know, the fast arena-based first-person shooter, jib festing and like jumping all over the place and zero-G maps with railguns and shit like that. Great fun back then. I just have no desire to do that now. I really like this thing that reminded me of watching it is like it does look like Doom's multiplayer, and Doom's multiplayer is really good, fast, old school kind of shooting multiplayer. And I'd probably enjoy Quake Champions. It's free. Maybe I'll give it a go. Maybe I'll sign up and get in there and try it at some point. But it's hard to get excited about an arena multiplayer shooter that doesn't really have anything else to it, you know?
Yeah, no, I used to play a lot of Quake and a lot of Quake 2, and even actually, yeah, Quake 3 Arena as well. I used to play that in my first job at lunchtimes. Yeah, that just wasn't a bit. You know, Quake never had characters. I mean, you just pick someone and just started shooting. That was all that mattered. And this, like I say, it seemed to trying to build characters and like give it an Overwatchy kind of feel. And yeah, it's just like nah, not that interested. And you're right. My tastes have moved on.
Yeah, as they do. Now, this afternoon we got before we get into that, actually, Bethesda. So in general, good showing, I thought. I mean, you bring up a valid point. There wasn't a huge amount of new IP in there or new stuff. Lots of sequels and DLCs for things that we've already had. But even then, I thought the presentation was very well done. I liked the way it felt. I felt very personal, like they were talking directly to the player, and they understood the player, understood what they want. And I do like their connection to these single player experiences. I really appreciate how important they realize they are, and they really double down on these quirky experiences. And anybody that repeatedly says fuck Nazis is a winner in my book. So I'm just, you know, they get points for that. They get points for their blatant politics, you know, the right kind of blatant politics.
Yeah, to me, the Skyrim Very Special Edition kind of really summarized actually that was the real freaking highlight, because I've loved the jokes over the past year about what they're going to be porting Skyrim to next, and for them to just take that fan feedback and spin off that. In fact, hold on, Alexa, play Skyrim.
The Skyrim skill isn't available in the UK right now.
Oh. Burn.
But there is a Skyrim skill. Oh my god, that's exciting. So it even sounds like there might be something real.
No, there is. No, it's genuine. They have done something with it. I saw this. It was a joke, but a joke in typical Bethesda fashion. They've taken a bit further than they probably needed.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. It's a shame we couldn't actually play it live on air, but there you go. Funny.
Live on air, interactive Skyrim via Alexa.
But yeah, I liked it. Very good vibe. I thought Todd, I can't remember his surname, was
Howard.
Yeah, Tom Howard on stage, really good as well. I thought Fallout 76 looked quite good. Quite excited. You know, there's some mobile stuff that I didn't really care about. Some Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 is obviously, that's years down the line. I'm not going to worry much about them now. But yeah, and then obviously Prey for me, that was and the fact that that's available today, yes, I'm well on board with that. I thought Prey was superb. So yeah, really, I thought it was a good show.
I forgot my favorite gag where they opened up with a dig up Walmart Canada, which absolutely, I was pissing myself with that, like, because you thought they'd allude to, they often allude to there has been a leak, but he really dug the knife in hard and twisted it on how on Walmart Canada are trusted partners who can always be trusted to keep secrets and not leak things. And it was just like, oh, twist that in there. Oh, that was good. I like that. That made me laugh. That made me smile.
Yeah, good. Right. What's up next?
So Square Enix was a non-event, let's be honest. It was a half-hour-long canned video that opened with a Japanese CEO of Square Enix saying, yes, we loved everyone. Players are great. Spend money with us. And then was narrated by Keith David and basically linked together with a bit of VO, half a dozen trailers for games we pretty much already all knew about. There was a couple of announcements, but very, very little in there. We've got Monster Hunter World crossing over with Final Fantasy 14, and there's the typical kind of like, yes, there's more content coming to Final Fantasy 14. That's another fantasy MMO you're probably not playing, but the large enough player base we have are one we want to support and continue to monetize. We had a bigger look at Just Cause 4, and you know what? it looks like a lot of fun, but damn, does it not just look like Just Cause 3? It really just seems to be Just Cause 3 with tornadoes, which is what I was saying last night. And it's like, I don't mind that. I'll probably play that, and it's out in December, but couldn't get particularly thrilled about it. In addition, I think we had Platinum Games, which is always worth noting what Platinum Games are doing, and they've got a new game coming out called Babylon's Fall. That was shown at this little video thing, but it's not. You can't really tell what it is. It was a teasery types and not gameplay, so it's hard to say what kind of game that is. But Platinum Games have a spotty pedigree, but it's always worth keeping an eye on. Like they make just about as many good as they do bad. But when they're good, they're very good, and when they're bad, they're the Legend of Korra. And then we've got, I think, Square Enix teased a new game, which was The Quiet Man, which looked quite interesting. It looked like it's coming. I think it's coming to only PC and PS4, and it looked like it was live action, so FMV, but like with gameplay elements to it. It's hard to describe if what we were seeing was indicative of gameplay or not. But it seemed to be this guy who was deaf, but then also had like crazy powers to being able to beat up these like thugs in an alleyway, and that was it. Who knows what actually we're gonna get. We obviously got more Kingdom Hearts. We got the same Kingdom Hearts trailer we got at Xbox, so there was like nothing new to that. It was exactly the same trailer. And I think that was mostly everything.
Tomb Raider was there. Did they show Tomb Raider?
Yeah, they did. I'm sorry. Yeah, I've forgotten about that. I mean, they showed, and because I talked about this last night, it doesn't resonate with me, so it sort of slipped out of my mind. They showed a fairly lengthy sequence of combat, and it just seems like Lara has become the murderer of murderers. Like she just murking so many dudes, and it's just like it's such a weird, incongruous sort of issue for me, where it's like she's just sneaking around, stabbing guys in the neck like she was a T1 operator, like she was a fucking SEAL. Like she's got like in this, she's covered in mud like Arnie from Predator, and she's like coming out of the jungle and just stabbing guys in necks. It's like you're either Gerard Butler from London Has Fallen or Arnie from Predator, one or the other, but you do love stabbing people. And considering she's this tiny little woman who's got a very posh British accent and is meant to be all like nice and stuff, that she just kills without any compunction at all. So yeah, it looked good though. It looked like it'd be fun, I suppose, if you're into that. Cool. Anything you wanted to add, Joel?
No, I haven't. The only trailer I got a chance to watch was The Quiet Man. So I haven't actually had a chance to go through and catch up on Square.
What did you think The Quiet Man even was? Like,
the only thing I wasn't sure about is in the trailer, it starts off with audio and then they shift it to be from the perspective of the deaf man. So rather than hearing sound, I figured he's feeling sound, isn't he? As it lands the punch, he was feeling the sound of it. So I don't know if there's some aspect of that to it. Is it going to be a game with no audio except for when you kind of feel the audio by interacting and touching things, and that's when you hear like muffled noises and stuff? That was my interpretation.
That's a mad stretch, buddy. But who the fuck knows from that trailer? I mean, it wasn't game. I mean, was it gameplay? Do you think? Wasn't it gameplay?
I agreed. I thought it was actors at first, and then it seemed to turn into Then it seemed to turn into FMV, and I wasn't sure if I just misinterpreted it to start with. But if you saw the same thing,
So I think it might be some kind of combination of it. I think maybe it's, that PlayStation have got these PlayLink, I want to say PlayLink games, where it's like multiple choice, but through your mobile kind of games, right? I felt like it might be something like that, or maybe it's a VR game. For it only to be on PC and PS4, I was like, something would mean it needs to be unique to those platforms. Do you know what I mean? So what is that? Maybe it's VR. But then, okay, so Square Enix was... Why did they bother? I mean, that wasn't. They called it a conference or like a press or something, but it really wasn't. It was just a video. You could have just put those trailers on your YouTube channel at any point. There was really no need to have a slot at E3 for that. But especially as it was like, well, where's Final Fantasy VII remake? And whereas like announcements that are going to blow people away with, there wasn't really anything in there. But we got onto Ubisoft now. This is always one of my favorites. I love these crazy French bastards. I love Yves Guillemot. I mean, right at the end of the conference, we'll obviously go through it, but right at the end, he always gets all the developers out. And this is one of the biggest groups of developers on the planet, if not the biggest. Like, they have dozens of studios, literally dozens of them over the world, right? Everywhere, from Shanghai to fucking Canada to loads in Europe, you name it. And yet, when they all come out like that, it feels like a family. It genuinely feels like it's a group of people that really care and that really do want to make great products. That's a bit unique and a bit different. It was actually something we got at Bethesda as well, wasn't it? Because Bethesda opened up with that slightly weird corporate marketing video, which was like, here's all the people that are like the cooks at Bethesda and the people that, did you see that?
Yeah, right at the start. Yeah.
So there's kind of an emphasis on, real people make fucking video games. Maybe don't be an asshole on Twitter. Like, have you ever thought of that? Maybe don't be a dick. Just hold that back a little bit. Because there's a human element to all of this, and it's nice to see, and Ubisoft always brings that. It opened up with a typical joyous Ubisoft crazy fucking dance music number because of Just Dance 19 with a dancing panda. I thought the only thing that could have made that better is if they cut away and then the panda had taken its head off and it was Eve.
So funny enough, I wrote that in my notes. I said it's going to be the CEO in the panda suit.
I thought it had to be.
And then it didn't happen. I must admit, I thought the dancing. I was watching the dancing. I thought it was a bit flaky in places for the panda, but he was actually good. And then I thought, no, he probably isn't.
No, he was too good to be some old French man who's a CEO of a company. But I didn't think it was genuine. I thought they were going to do a trick, and it would cut away, and he'd come out and he'd be like, "Oh, it's me, Eve. Hello,
I'm glad you thought the same thing, though.
Totally.
That's awesome.
But I was watching it with my wife, and maybe it's Aisha Tyler from they brought her back, and she's doing the dancing. I was like, no, I don't think she's coming back. I don't think they're bringing back Aisha Tyler, because it's another thing. We're getting less of those sort of awkward hosts now, and more just developers being developers, which is something I quite like to see. Anyway, so we got that dancing. I thought it was a good number, fun, got people excited and stuff. They did all that. Just Dance 19. They didn't say anything about it. It's another Just Dance game. It's like, yeah, we know what that is. But then, did we get a trailer after that? Oh, that cinematic trailer.
Did this get you excited, Ben? Did you get excited?
A little bit. It looked super cool, man. I love the art design they've gone for here and the look. I would watch, if you told me there was going to be a CGI movie of Beyond Good and Evil 2 or a prequel, I would go and watch that. It looks stunning, these CGI trailers. They look fantastic. So Beyond Good and Evil 2 had this really cool trailer. It was atmospheric and exciting and serious peril. And then it had a massive reveal at the end, a big heel turn from the hero of the original Beyond Good and Evil. She seems to be the villain now. Jade, confirmed, is going to be in Beyond Good and Evil 2, which they were talking about that not happening. Maybe that was, maybe that wasn't. And then we got gameplay after it, sort of. Actually, I think maybe calling it gameplay.
There was some in-gameplay footage. Obviously, it wasn't as long as the trailer.
Flying around,
jumping,
and then there was a little bit of on foot, but mostly flying around. And then Joseph Gordon-Levitt came out and caused my Twitter feed to explode because they then sort of announced that they were going to crowdsource art development for the game from the players, and they made no mention of if there'd be any form of recompense for the people making this, but there will. Yes, This has been confirmed. So can you remember what Joseph Gordon-Levitt's company was called?
Hitrecord.org is the website. So the website was called the company's called Hit Record. I've just given you the website, not the actual name. They
kind of made a big mistake in that presentation of not saying if your shit ends up in the game, you will get paid in some way. I think they made a massive mistake because my Twitter, with all my journal video, everybody was shouting, "What?" So they're just gonna sort of suck the passion out of the players and use them to make their game with no reward. Nobody knew what was going on for a hot minute there. It took about 20 minutes for JGL's tweet of him no, people get paid. We've paid a lot of people already. This is something I do. Probably should have mentioned that. Whoops, got cut from the script last minute. He said they tightened it up and it got lopped off the presentation. Nobody noticed. What? That's a pretty important point, guys. For a moment there, Twitter was doing backflips with anxiety over the scumminess of that. But it's not scummy. It's kind of cool. You know what? I might look into it. I think it would be really fun to try and collaborate with someone.
We should try and get something. You should try and get the Bxb logo in there somehow. See if you can get it all the way through and into the final game.
Doesn't that kind of go against the whole kind of beautiful democratization of creativity?
Are you saying that logo you spewed out is not art?
I didn't make that. I didn't make.
Did you not? Did you not? No,
I did not make that logo. I paid hundreds of pounds for that logo, Joel. Oh my god.
Did you?
No.
Whoa. I was going to say, my son could have drawn it for you.
Oh, harsh. I'll let Rob know you said that. But no, what did you think of all this Beyond Good and Evil stuff? Again, like no mention of dates or time frames.
So yeah, it's a teaser trailer. I kind of enjoyed seeing the content, the gameplay. She alluded to something in the game when she was talking through whilst there were gameplay that literally, you can go from the surface up into the sky seamlessly and stuff. And I was just like, show me that. I want to see that. And they didn't, sadly. They sort of showed you flying around in space, and a bit on the planet. But I wanted to, so that's kind of piqued my interest a bit. How big is this universe? Can I actually, can just jump in a ship and fly straight up and fly to another planet? Because that would be awesome.
Do you remember it? Sorry, do you remember it showing last year?
It was a lot. There wasn't any gameplay last year, but it was. It was just announced last year, wasn't it?
No, they talked about specifics, but last year was very lofty, kind of big tentpole concept for it. So these big promises of huge shared universes, of seamless transitions. I think they're trying to manage expectations a little now. That they're trying to be like, that's lovely, we'd love to do that. However, we tried to make that, and turns out, no fucking way. So I feel like they're bringing it down a bit. Look, with Jade's in there, it's going to have a cool story, cool characters. Focus on that. Don't worry too much about the giant universe. You can fly between. That's no, probably not. If we ever want it to come out, probably not. Let's be honest.
The final thing was, did you notice that just after they walked off stage that they left their mics on, and it was just them going, we nailed it before it transitioned. They were obviously felt like they hit it out of the park. So
it was good. I mean, Joseph Gordon-Levitt was very good. I thought he it's great. They're not the only big name to come out from Hollywood on this stage for this show, and adds a little level of sort of ritz and glamour and legitimacy to these projects that they're getting involved. So I hit my mic. Getting involved with these big Hollywood type creators. JGL's famously like very indie. He's a writer, a director, an actor. He does all kinds of stuff. So yeah, let's see what these crazy French people can do with people like that. That's exciting. It was a cool presentation, except for the slight question of remuneration for the work that they're asking for. I enjoy it. I mean, I'm excited. How can you not be excited for that? It looked great. The first game is a classic. Beyond Good and Evil it's available on Xbox One via backwards compatibility, so you can buy the 360 version of that. It was originally a GameCube game. You can buy it and play it on your Xbox One. And if you've not played it, I would highly recommend it. It's a great sort of like puzzle action character sort of action game. Really quirky, really good story. Lots of great characters. It's a little bit dated now in how it plays, but it's still got lots of fun stuff in there, especially now that we know Jade is coming back. I mean, I think. Have you played it, Joel? Have you played it?
No, I've never played any of these games. I don't play games. I don't play games. That's
Hashtag Joel don't play no games, fool. Right. Okay, next. Trials. Oh, goddamn Ubisoft. You guys are weird, aren't you? I mean, this guy came down to the stage on a little motorbike, which he dumped, and he's dressed up like Evel Knievel, this creative lead of the studio. He then goes onto the stage and does this really weird stage sort of like planned pratfall to destroy the podium, because Trials is all about fucking up but looking good doing it, supposedly. I don't remember that much about Trials, but I've played a lot of Trials, as my wife will attest. She would get very sick of hearing the music on the title screen, Man, Machine, the Future, over and over and over and over and over again. Because I loved it. I was so corny, that game, Trials Fusion. But I really enjoy the Trials games. They're a great mix of like puzzle and sort of driving and skill, and there's a lot going on in them, a lot more than you'd think. So yeah, bring me another Trials game. Big, full of other players Trials game. I would not complain. The only one I've not really liked was that awful Trials Blood Dragon crossover thing they did, that introduced on-foot segments that were the worst things ever. So yeah, I mean, what about you, Joe? Are you fond of the Trials game?
I played the original quite a bit. I quite enjoyed it. It's just a good, fun, little challenging title, isn't it? And it's like he says, it can be frustrating as hell at times, but when you do, it's rewarding when you do get through. But yeah,
super
cool.
rewarding.
So
punishingly difficult sometimes, but like replayability on them, the value for you get in those games is just second to none. Like, and when you get really good with the bike handling and understanding, when to accelerate and when to tilt and all of the physics manipulation you can do in those games, it is super cool. The shit you can pull off, and you feel fucking badass doing it when you get good. It takes a lot of practice though. We got what's next? Mario and Rabbids DLC.
Donkey Kong Adventure.
Yeah,
they brought Grant Kirkhope out on stage. I was cheering because I was like, I wonder how many people actually know who he is. He used to be the audio guy at Rare, so all the sound for Banjo Kazooie and all those N64 greats, he was the guy responsible. So yeah, awesome. I was just like, wow, I didn't even realize that he was working with Ubisoft.
The band he was with as well, which is a name I can no longer find, was of note as well. They're also quite well known doing stuff like video game music and stuff. Did
they say who the band were? Because
they did.
I was obviously still like in a mini euphoria over seeing Grant Kirkhope.
The music was good. Yeah. I just didn't give a shit about anything to do with the game. I still haven't finished the Mario plus Rabbids. I've done about half of the game. I haven't actually dipped back into it for ages. I'm still stuck on Zelda. I'm still immersed in Zelda. It's the right word I'm looking for. Probably, I don't know. I got enough from the first game. I'm not that hyped about a DLC for it, but I'm sure some people who are like hooked in on it will be pretty happy with it. So it's the only Switch game I've ever gotten rid of. I didn't enjoy it that much at all. I just didn't click with me. I'd rather play XCOM. I'd rather play a proper tactics game or an RTS or something. It just felt too my first tactics. I also don't have an affinity for any of the characters involved. So I was just sort of like, yeah, don't care. And ended up getting rid of it. So the DLC for Donkey Kong, again, don't have much of a connection to that character. Great that they're still working so tight with Ubisoft. Was awesome to see. We got to see Miyamoto later on in the show, and he's for another announcement, and that's cool, man. I always love to see that guy. He's an important person, and it's cool that Nintendo are working with other publishers, and it makes so much sense that it's Ubisoft. It makes so much sense because it's like their quirky sort of sensibilities are perfect for like matching up with Nintendo. I just kind of want them to do something else now, like get away from Mario plus Rabbids, do something else.
Well, they did. If you want to skip ahead a little bit,
we can jump to that, but it's kind of like they did, but they didn't. It's not a real thing. So I remember last year they announced this thing, Starlink. I don't know if it had the subtitle Battle for Atlas last year, but that's been included now.
I can't recall the subtitle from last year. So
this was their ill-timed entry in the sort of physically supported toys to life category, which now doesn't exist because they've all folded. And I thought it was really curious to see it still on the stage. And there was a brief indication that kind of like customizable spaceship element thing is still in there because it's in the trailer, but then they didn't mention it once on the actual presentation, which I thought was really curious that they never brought up anything about, so you'll be able to go and buy your ship bits and, do all the customizing and make your own thing. And they just didn't mention it. I thought that was really peculiar. It's like, so are they quietly dropping that, or is it now something you can do if you really want to, but it's not like required? But I suppose the news was that on the Switch version of Starlink Battle for Atlas, which is this quite generic looking sort of space shootery game, you'll be able to play as Star Fox characters. Fox McCloud's in there, and I heard the other one. I can't remember the name.
The rabbit.
Rabbit. I think
that's the frog Slippy, I think, and then there's Falco.
Falco, yes, and that's cool. I loved. What's it called? What was it called on the SNES in the UK?
Star Wing,
yes. So Star Fox in the US, wasn't it? And Japan, and then we had Star Wing over here. I love that. That was a great game. It was like the guy said on the stage. It was one of my first experiences with 3D polygonal gaming. It doesn't hold up great now, but if you want to remind yourself what it's like, you can pick up a SNES Mini and play it. And it's also got the unreleased sequel on there as well, which is definitely worth checking out. But yeah, have those characters come back. Why not? It doesn't really matter, does it? I mean, it seemed like a pretty unnecessary little addition.
So, well, I guess it depends. Like, I'd like to see more of the actual game itself, if you know what I mean, because that could, you know, I'd be quite up for a decent little arcadey space shooter. But yeah, just didn't quite see enough of it. Now, if they're throwing, you know, just imagine a bit of a more free-form Star Fox game could be pretty cool.
The art style looked okay, but it didn't look very distinct, did it?
It was, yeah, I know what you mean. It didn't look, the art styling was, it just looked like it was an old school basic art styling, but because of it, it looked like they haven't actually put that much effort into the modeling or texturing, didn't it?
The vibe I got was Saturday morning cartoon. You know, they were going hard on the idea of kind of generic Saturday morning cartoon look to it. But it just looked a bit forgettable. But it's just like, is this aimed at kids? Is this not? I mean, it must be. But I just thought it was so weird that they didn't bring up the toys to life aspect at all. I just thought that was really peculiar.
In the box that they gave Miyamoto, there was a small little Fox McCloud amiibo alongside the big ship model in there. So I can't help but wonder if they might go a bit more. Maybe just you can use some amiibos on the Switch, for example. I mean, the video showed that on the PlayStation, it showed you the actual ship was connected to the PlayStation controller, didn't it? Whilst the guy was playing it. But yeah, it comes out on October the 16th, so we won't have to wait that long to find out. And was this the game that they said you could? No. Sorry, that was that's later.
Okay, so let's get back to the real games. They showed a bunch more of the Division 2 with like a proper presentation. We had a nice feature-length trailer, pretty heavy-looking trailer. I thought the Division 2 it screams my kind of game. You know, like heroic special forces types going into Washington to save the day from the evil militias that have taken over and stuff, and that are treating the civilians like crap. And your intervention is going to help them, and they're going to be better, and things will be nice because you're a hero with guns. And then when you get to the end game, you get to have a specialization, and there's going to be raids, which I'll probably never play, but you know, because they'll be too high level. But no, I'm up for more Division, much like we talked about last night. Bring it on. That looks cool as fuck.
They opened it up and they were just like, and this is the worst thing that's ever happened to Washington. And I'm just sitting there thinking, worse than Donald Trump? I don't know. I'm not on board with this. But yeah, like you said, they got raids for 8 players up into the raid. So God, if we had enough problem getting a fire team of 5 or 6 together in Destiny, so we are screwed. We're never going to be doing those. They showed a good roadmap for the year, so they really stick the knife in at Bungie and oh God, who am I thinking? EA with Battlefront as well. So showing that they've got it all planned ahead as DLCs, all free as well. So lots of content coming, and obviously it's going to be releasing March 15th next year. So yeah, I think around that time I'll be quite up for. I mean, I found that the Division was really repetitive and got a bit boring, but man, the environment was amazing. Really loved it. The look of that game.
I hope they flesh out the story a bit more and make more of a deal of the narrative of it a little bit, because it was for the most part in the first game it was very forgettable. And then of course at launch their end game was a mess. Like they had a lot of problems with player attention, which has now been fixed. And I'm guessing they've completely learned from that in, you know, the 2. So end game should be way more engaging from the offset. But it's worth mentioning at this point as well, they also had the yearly check-ins with For Honor and Rainbow Six, which are both still going incredibly strong. And I love Ubisoft's ongoing support of these games. They're not just chucking out a sequel every year. They're actually really continuing to develop for these titles post-release, with listening to fan feedback, implementing new DLCs, you know, bringing in changes and really supporting things, especially Rainbow in the sort of online, you know, the esports thing that's really grown massively recently, become very popular. And the For Honor, you know, they're constantly bringing in new stuff to that. They've got those dedicated servers now, which is a big deal, because they did have problems with that in the early days. And now they've got this whole new kind of the Chinese type factions coming in that looked a lot like, reminded me of the Three Kingdoms stuff. You know, that was cool. Totally different fighting style. How those will play with the knights and the samurai will be really interesting to see. So it's just cool that they're always that they're thinking about these games in kind of these longer slices now. That they're not looking at annualized sequels. They're looking at supporting games for 2 or 3 years after release.
Well, on Siege, they said that they said they had 10 years worth of content, didn't they? 40 operators they showed, and they said that it was a 10 years worth. So
yeah, well, why do a sequel? I mean, because it's like that's the thing. That's the problem, isn't it? So many publishers have, isn't it? And so many developers. Why do a sequel to this game when you can just support it with DLC?
They don't need to.
The platform.
That game's amazing. I love Rainbow Six Siege. I've played loads and loads of that.
It's very, very good. Yeah, it's very, very good game.
And did you see? What did you think about the documentary?
I don't care about that, but I couldn't give a shit. But it's cool that they're doing it, but it's not for me. I'm not that deeply into the community, but yeah, like anything like that keeps interest alive and gets in the behind the scenes of things. That's really cool. People love that stuff, you know. I love that stuff, but you know, usually for games that I'm already interested in a bit more. But I might check it out if it's well made. I might just watch it and I might find out stuff that I find interesting. You know, that's definitely possible. So after, I don't know if I'm in order or not here, but we got the big blowout, the sort of confirmation of ACOD, which is what I'm going to call it now, because I was calling the previous Assassin's Creed ACO, so I'm going to add a D for Odyssey to this one when I abbreviate it. I don't know what they're doing officially, but I'm going to call it ACOD. And it looks like awesome fun, but man, it also looks like a huge departure from what an Assassin's Creed game has been previously. They mentioned it being in development for 3 years, which is curious. I'm guessing in parallel to a large portion of Origin's development. Boy, oh boy, did the menus and the UI on screen look familiar, because I believe them, especially the on-screen UI was identical to Origin's. That's fine. That's fine. I really like the setting. Hellenic Greece, ancient Greece, gods and monsters and artifacts. And then basically your character has the Spear of Leonidas, which you might remember that name from 300. That's the dude that led 300. Spartan. Yeah, Jerry B, Big G. So yeah, you got some kind of mythical artifact, which basically makes you a fucking badass. And that can be a fucking badass that's either a dude or a chick, which is awesome. And you now introducing full-on dialogue sort of selection options, you know, which is a completely new thing to Assassin's Creed. This is going into action RPG territory. It's going away. Like, at no point did I see a hidden blade. At no point did I see any allusions to the assassins and the Templars. There seemed to be none of that, at least in what was revealed just at this conference. It just looks like a big, awesome action RPG using the engines and some of the mechanics of the Assassin's Creed games. It makes me kind of wonder why they're even calling it Assassin's Creed, to be honest. I mean, what did you think of it, Joel?
The first thing I thought was like, are you just a warrior now in these games? Is that all you do? You just go into massive battles and fights?
That's what it looked like.
Yeah, where's the sneaking around, stealthy, like just get in there, kill the one person and get out without being caught? Do you even do that in these games anymore? So yeah, I share your sentiments on that front. I must admit though, the setting of ancient Greece and stuff, and like all that mythos and sort of the way that they, you know, haven't gone for absolute realism. It like had that kind of, you know, fantasies. There was that big sort of Herculean statue holding that rock up and stuff, and
lots of big statues, and we had a Minotaur at the end as well.
Yeah, you know, just looked cool. That looked quite fun.
Yeah.
Releases October the 5th.
Like very, very soon. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if there's much more that they're going to show, to be honest. I know they were going to do. I think they're showing much more at the show over the coming week and stuff. So I'll keep an eye out for reports from. I think Eurogamer's already got 3 hours with the game. You know, they're waiting for the launch, as it were, and then that's already up. Wait for the not the launch, the announcement. But yeah, I'm down for that. I just kind of wonder why it's called Assassin's Creed, and
it's kind of losing its core identity a bit, isn't it?
The thing that's weird for me is they're squandering. I mean, maybe they're not. Maybe they're just saving it. But the thing that seems strange to me is that the progenitor race, right, the kind of the overarching sci-fi plot, are heavily Greek inspired. They've all got names like Juno and stuff like this, and like lots of like Greek mythos, Roman mythos names. And I always thought that the idea was that that was what the connection was going to be. You know, that there was going to be how the Apple of Eden had like been handed down like godlike, you know, in a way to the ancient peoples of places like Greece and Rome. So I thought when we got into this sort of time period, we were going to see more obvious connections to these things, and it was going to start to ramp up that element of the story, which I actually really like. I know a lot of people don't, and I know I'm in the minority, which is why I feel like they are pushing in the other direction and just setting these as basically just action RPGs in historical settings. Which is cool, but I kind of like, why is it Assassin's Creed? Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Right, we got the Crew 2 open world driving game. There's a beta coming next week. It's coming. I think the game's out pretty soon anyway. I think it's August, isn't it?
June 29th.
June. Holy shit! So there's an open beta like the week it comes out. That doesn't.
Yeah, just the week leading up to it.
So it's just a demo. Okay. Fine. Call it what it is. It looked fine, didn't it? It looked fine. I saw Red Bull F1 car from probably, that looked like, what was it, 2017, maybe 16 season in there. Which looked cool, I suppose. You get to drive that. Great. Hard to get excited about that one.
I played it. I played the closed beta, and yeah, it's okay. But yeah, it's not my personal cup of tea, I don't think. I think Horizon looked better.
Yeah, oh god, yeah. Oh god, yeah. And what did you think of Skull and Bones? The game coming off of the
Sea of Thieves HD. I think they've sat back here and waited just to see what happened with Sea of Thieves. And if they're clever about it, I think they'll listen to what people have been saying and get the feedback. And they've probably got a chance to come in with a bit of a steal here. It looked kind of cool. But yeah, I hope it doesn't. I remember this. I don't think it's, you know, when we played Sea of Thieves and stuff, it was kind of, we struggled a bit with it. Whereas this looked at a little bit more kind of, you don't have to run up and down and fulfill a role. I guess they are slightly different games, aren't they? In Sea of Thieves, you are sort of role playing a pirate, and you're on the ship's just part of it, and you have to operate the ship. Whereas in this case, you seem to play the ship actually. So
yeah,
there's a bit more going on. But yeah, looked quite fun.
It's still it's just freakishly how it's so damn similar to the naval combat in Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
Oh yeah,
which is what it's based off of, which they spun it out of, and it still looks so much like that. It's unreal. I mean, it could be fun. I mean, they obviously tried to give you a bit more of a framing for it this time rather than last year. We've got story and some character in there, and more of an idea of what the gameplay loop would be and stuff like that. It sounded quite good. I mean, it sounded quite good. I feel like there's work there. I don't think it's coming out anytime soon. Not particularly anyway soon. Probably end of next year.
Yeah, it just said coming 2019. So yeah, end of next year is probably what you can read into that.
Have I missed anything, Joel?
Just let's go back through the list. You only missed one thing, Ben.
Only one. Okay. I'm getting better at this.
And I'm surprised because you missed Transference, where they brought out old Elijah on the stage.
Yeah, I alluded that there was other Hollywood presence, didn't I? And then I forgot about it entirely. I will play that game in VR and be scared. That's probably what's going to happen. That's my goal. I mean, what did you think of it? I mean, atmospheric, something to do with like entering people's consciousnesses with VR, as it were, with some kind of system, and getting trapped in there, and questions of, I got vibes of what is the soul and self and things like that, and heady questions of you know, mixtures of FMV and video game action, you know, because Elijah Wood's got this production company, which is who Ubisoft have teamed up with. And but did you get anything exciting from that?
It very much reminded me of a game that we both played recently, just without the steampunk vibe to it, which was sorry, not steampunk, cyberpunk vibe.
I was a wee bit confused there.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah. The Observer, very similar in theme, wasn't it? That's about jacking into people and going around their minds and getting trapped in certain cases and things and escaping. And there's sort of these monsters chasing you that you can't engage with or combat and stuff. So you have to run, and it's all a bit scary. Yeah, I don't know. I looked at it and I'll wait and see.
I looked at it and a big sigh.
Played a lot of games like that recently, so it's not exciting me on that front. But who knows? Maybe they'll blow it out of the park with some fantastic narrative and stuff that does make it quite attractive.
It's this thing. It's another one that they showed at last year's conference as well for Ubisoft, and it's like, why is this game taking so long to come out? I feel like maybe again, I think it's changed. I think from what I remember last year, it was much more just like all FMV, and now it seems to have, or maybe it was just super early. But it's like if you're not careful, you miss the boat on these things because, like you said, there are now other games dealing with similar themes that we've already played. So it's going to feel decidedly less unique, isn't it? By the time it ever fucking releases. So, but no, if it's in VR, it will be scary probably regardless. So, bring it on. So that was the Ubisoft conference. In general, anything you wanted to add?
I thought it was, it wasn't too bad. It didn't blow me out the park, though, I must admit. I
was more impressed with Bethesda's.
Yeah. I thought Bethesda's was certainly the highlight of the day. I don't know. Well, obviously, the PC show could be blowing out of the park as we speak, but in Bxb'S Day, that's tomorrow. The way we're timing things at the moment. Yeah, I thought it was. Yeah, it was just okay. I think I'm like, I'm Beyond Good and Evil 2. I'm curious. I want to see a bit more of that. Division 2. Yeah, I'd like to see a bit more of that. Trials looked fun, but I'm not going to, I'm not going to get too excited about it. If I see it and it's cheap or something, I'll pick that up and have a good laugh with it. I know it'll be a good game. I know it'll be fun, but I don't expect it to, be any different to what we've got already. And yeah, the rest of it's just Starlink's a bit curious, especially with the Star Fox tie-in. I was a bit gutted that Miyamoto appeared back at Ubisoft and not with Phil Spencer yesterday, as I predicted. But now, I was half right. He was there again.
I'm not giving you half a point for that.
So that's nowhere near. You know what my prediction is next year. He'll be there he'll be chained to one of the chairs in the audience of the Ubisoft thing. He's got to turn up every year now. Yeah, so they're my thoughts. How about you?
I liked it. I always like Ubisoft. I always enjoy their attitude and their sensibilities. I'm super happy Eve didn't lose control to Vivendi, and then they still have this giant family vibe to them. They bring something different to gaming. People will argue that Ubisoft open world games have a formula to them. They do. However, they also have a sense of humor to them, and a sense of place to them that I think other ones don't. But they're not just making those games, they're not just making those types of experiences. And I really like what they produce. I really like, in general, I almost always enjoy them. It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, there's something else we didn't mention from Bethesda. They came out and mentioned, they were the #1 publisher last year according to the Metacritic scores.
And average across their games, I see.
Yeah, when you think about it, that makes sense. Like Bethesda often make very good, if not excellent games. They're always up there in the 8s, aren't they, or the 9s, and they rarely dip below. And I think, they've got a niche. Ubisoft's got a niche. EA is lacking a bit of identity, I think, at the moment. Obviously, Microsoft, the platform holders are different, but the publishers, they kind of have their places that they're now seemingly getting quite comfortable within. So maybe all of them could do with taking a bit of a swerve and trying something a bit different and pushing the boundaries. But I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it. I didn't feel like I wasted my time watching it. I think Square Enix was the most pointless at this moment. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens in a couple of hours with PlayStation, and then tomorrow with Nintendo, the two big platform holders that are kind of dominating right now. So, how safe do they play it? Do they take risks? Do they make crazy announcements? How far in the future are they looking? Especially Nintendo. I think Nintendo's got a lot of interesting places they could go with their conference.
I'm quite excited about Nintendo.
Or their direct, or whatever you want to call it.
I think this will be the start to see the roots of the third parties now getting interested in the platform as well. So alongside the almost untouchable first party stuff you get from Nintendo, I think we'll start hopefully seeing some really cool other stuff now.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, so far for me, my tied places for moments so far are Cyberpunk 2077 and Doom Eternal. So let's see what Sony can do tonight. And I think that brings us to the end of episode 15 of this bonus Babble. Like I said, we're back for our final wrap-up podcast tomorrow evening. I haven't mentioned this on the last couple of shows, and I really should have done. If you go to bxbgames.co.uk, there are posts for these episodes in which I am putting all the fucking trailers and stuff we're talking about within. So go there and have a look so you actually know what we're talking about if you haven't already seen it. It's definitely worth doing. I definitely should have mentioned that 2 days ago. But, oh well, I can't remember everything, Joel. So, Joel, I look forward to our final episode until the weekend anyway, tomorrow night. And I will say at midnight right now, it's time for Joel to go to bed and for me to stay up for another couple of hours at least. Bye-bye.
Bye, folks.